Good evening, Larry. This has been a
Good
long
evening,
time
Mayor.
coming.
It has been. So after review of the comprehensive plan amendment for the adoption of the I-35 and 175th Street interchange sub-area plan dated May 3rd, 2018, and the amendment to the City of Gardner comprehensive plan, the Planning Commission approves Planning Commission Resolution PC 18-02 and recommends the governing body approve the plan and amendments. So some background for this, again, was council directed staff in the spring of 2015 to begin the process of a sub-area plan for the area around I-35 and 175th Street interchange. Staff held meetings with property owners and interested parties and stakeholders, and we had an introductory meeting on June 16th of 2015, follow-up SWOT analysis on August 11th, 2015, with exercises and land use activities on September 2nd with these same people, and on November 4th, a future land use map was identified and worked through. And these meetings were all well attended, and the attendees offered a great amount of input. The draft of the plan was posted to the website for public comment, and the plan was to be included on an early 2016 Planning Commission agenda. However, the adoption of the plan was tabled in 2016, and staff has now been directed to move forward with the adoption process again. We went through a planning process with the City Council on what had been previously transpired. The council made additional comments on the land use for that. We took that back to the property owners on April 25th, 2018. A meeting was held with the current property owners to revisit the document's future, the land use map plans, and allowing input for the plan. And approximately 20 property owners attended that meeting. Participants did not suggest any changes. Most of their concerns were related to the future provisions of utility services and land transportation plans. They were mailed notice of the Planning Commission public hearing, which was held. The sub-area plan, like the comprehensive plan, is a policy guide for future development, and it's designed to be incorporated into the City of Gardner's comprehensive plan by reference so that the plan policy and land use guidance is a part of the comprehensive plan. And the Planning Commission voted 6-0 to approve the Planning Commission Resolution PC 1802 adopting the I-35 and 175th Street interchange sub-area plan and all the associated amendments to the comprehensive plan, and recommends that the governing body approve the sub-area plan and comprehensive plan amendments. There is no financial impact for the adoption of the plan at this time, but future political financial impacts may take place with the construction of either utilities or streets at the time those construction activities occur. And so the suggested motion is to adopt the ordinance number 2582 and approve the Planning Commission adopted version of the amendments to the City Gardner Comprehensive Plan and the Interstate 35 and 175th Street Interchange Sub-Area Plan. So if we have any questions, I'll be happy to go over them.
All right. Thank you, Larry. I will open the floor for public comment. Anyone who wishes to make a comment on committee recommendation item number 3, please step forward. State your name and address for the record. Without anyone coming forward, questions for staff or Larry regarding the sub-area plan? I'll start on my left, Mr. Melton.
No, I'm just excited to see it.
Yeah, that makes 2 of us. Councilman Winters?
Same, excited to see it.
Okay. Randy, you have anything to add?
No, sir.
Okay. Mark? Okay. All right,
I'm
we will.
excited to see it.
Hey, I think we're all excited. I'm getting all tingly. All right, with that being said, I will entertain a motion on committee recommendation item number 3.
So moved.
Second.
Motion Melton, second Baldwin, that we adopt ordinance number 2582, approving the Planning Commission adopted version of the amendments to the City of Gardner Comprehensive Plan and the I-35 and 175th Street Interchange Sub-Area Plan. City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilman Melton?
Yes.
Councilman Winters?
Yes.
Councilman Baldwin?
Yes.
Councilman Gerdorsic?
Yes.
Ordinance number 2582 passes. I'll be happy to see that added to our comprehensive plan book. There is no old business this evening. New business. Consider new business item number 1. Consider appointing Sharon Rose as Deputy City Clerk for the City of Gardner and administer the oath of office. Cheryl Harrison Lee.
Yes, so good evening again. This item is so that we have a backup when our clerk is out of the office or on vacation. There are documents that would need to be signed that the clerk needs to sign, and we do not have someone designated at this time as the deputy clerk. So it's really an opportunity to make sure that we are efficient with having someone sign documents, and we can continue to move forward.
Great. There is no real council
There's
action
no-
affiliated with this, so there's no
A
need
point.
for public comment. We'll go ahead and administer the oath of office. I'm assuming that Amy will be administering the oath?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, just repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Sharon Rose,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and faithfully discharge the duties
and faithfully discharge the duties
as the City of Gardner Deputy City Clerk.
as the City of Gardner Deputy City Clerk.
So help me God.
So help me God.
There you go.
Take vacation now. Seems kind of selfish, right?
Okay, moving on. New business item number 2. Thank you, Sharon, and congratulations. Consider authorizing the city administrator to execute contract with McEnany Construction Incorporated for the 2018 Pavement Management Program asphalt portion for Phase 4. Michael Kramer, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. And do you have the presentation available? Is that? So back in May, we authorized bonding for our pavement management project, and so I'll remind you all of that. We authorized bonding up to $1.9 million for the project, and of course that pays for just the portion of the project that's bondable. And there's also the portion that's on streets that are not bondable or eligible for bond funding, all of which come from the infrastructure sales tax, the payments for those. And then in I believe it was the last meeting in May, we had the pavement management concrete portion of the project was bid, and if you remember, our bids were very good on that. They were favorable, and again, we've received the bids on the asphalt and the chip seal, and those are favorable, and we'll kind of go over that a little bit. Presentation, generally the slides look very similar to before, but again, we're going to touch on the asphalt and the chip seal as opposed to last time we saw this in front of you. We were talking primarily about the concrete. So year 2016 is when we started actually doing the pavement management projects. That year, our total project was about $1.8 million. We did 13 lane miles of mill and overlay and about 14 lane miles of chip seal. Our asphalt that year was bid a little bit differently. It was bid per square yard, and so you have to do some conversions and such to get it to a ton price, but we can do that. Asphalt per ton, depending on what particular thing it was used for, ranged from $59 to $69 on our surfaces, and some of the patching material was as high as I believe $80 a ton. Chip seal that year was about $2.40 per square yard, and you can see in front of you the kind of the general areas where the project occurred. Moving on to last year, our asphalt tonnage price went down significantly. Ended up at $55.25, so right at $55 a ton. And our bid prices were between $55 and about $64. Our chip seal, though, went down to $2.07 a square yard. And again, going back to the concrete, we had significant savings on concrete last year. And then on to this year's project. So our asphalt's about $58 a ton. It's a little under a 5% increase from last year, but still below our 2016 prices. Previously in the year, you know, when you're estimating the project and you're looking at budgeting, et cetera, setting those bonding amounts, you know, we were estimating as high as maybe $65 a ton because we'd seen that in some other jurisdictions. And if you look on our engineer's estimate, I think we ended up dropping it to right at $60 a ton, you know, just before the bid. And again, asphalt was $58 a ton on this year's project's bid, and chip seal was $2.15. So chip seal still, you know, 30 cents, 25 cents below 2016 prices. And on that, so what that's allowed us to do, if you look at both of the motions before you on both new business item 2 and 3, we're asking to go ahead and have a change order approved with at the same time as the bid. And that essentially will take us up to, with what we anticipate in the concrete portion changing, take us up to spending our full bonded amount so that we aren't using those funds just to hold or to pay down the bond. So what that results in is about $160,000 in additional asphalt improvements that we're able to do, $112,000 in chip seal, and about $60,000 in concrete. So all total then between the bonded and the cash amount. So some of the areas that we've added, if you look on the map, we've added Kill Creek Road between 167th and 159th, and that's actually been added as a chip seal. But this year we're also doing another treatment that's a fog seal. And essentially that's, you put the chip seal down and then you put another coat of oil over the top. The coat of oil is a special oil. It's designed to cure very quickly within about an hour of being applied, so you can drive over it. The other thing about the fog seal is you can paint it, and the paint sticks much better to that than chip seal. And if folks don't look too close, they think they're driving on a new asphalt road. And so we're able to add that into the project. And really, if you look at Kill Creek Road right now, it looks in pretty decent shape, except for some crack sealing that's been done on it. And we really think this will help extend the life of Kill Creek Road. The other streets that we've added are Oak Circle, just west of Center Street and north of Grand, and then Hickory Street in Kansas in that same area. And so those are smaller, but I believe that those are the asphalt they've been added in. And being with the good engineers that I have on staff, we had those in our bond resolution to begin with. They just weren't part of the project. It's easier to add a little bit into a project after the fact than it is to take out. And again, I did want to go back and touch on one thing as well, and that would be our ADA accomplishments. 2016, the number of ramps, we did about 33 with our project. 2017, we did about 38. And this year, we're planning on about 94 ramps being either reconstructed or replaced as part of the program. And so essentially, whenever we go past an ADA ramp, specifically with the mill and overlay, but we do try and do it with the chip seal as well. If you do a major improvement by a ramp, you have to bring that ramp up into compliance. And so that's what those are. They do add a significant cost to the project and additional concrete and effort on the contractor. But again, mostly are required as to be part of the project. So the first business item is number 2 is to execute a contract with McEnany Construction for the 2018 asphalt portion of the pavement management. Their bid amount of $1,010,667.11 and change order number 1 in the amount of $57,471.18, and then additionally authorize change orders up to $100,000.
Great,
And
thanks.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Or
I
public.
appreciate it, Michael. I'm going to open up the floor for public comment on new business item number 2. No one coming forward. Questions for Michael or other members of staff?
I would just like to say thank you for giving us an update on the pricing schedule from previous years.
Yeah.
It's good to know.
Thank you.
Okay. Randy, you have anything?
No, great information.
Mark? Good. I did have one question, and that is, I know that we're a little ahead of schedule now on some of the pavement improvements. Are we looking at, do you know how far ahead we are of schedule? I know that we added some additional projects last
Yeah.
year because of the discounted costs for granite seal as well as, that's what I was looking for. Well,
Yeah.
thank you very much, Michael.
So
I appreciate it.
So yeah, so
I think
we
so. Yeah.
we are, if you look at some of the areas, especially there north of 183rd and west of Moonlight,
Yep.
those projects were not scheduled until 2019.
That's Willow Chase and.
And yes, and so
yeah.
those are certainly ahead of schedule. And then some of the others down south on Gardner Road were ahead of schedule.
And the other question is regarding Kill Creek Road. I know we've added that, and it's not on this map even. It's even more
Correct.
recent. What about the situation with the parking lot at Celebration Park? That's not included within this, is it?
No, it's not. So the Kill Creek Road, or I'm sorry, Celebration Park is your specific question?
Correct, the parking lot on the access
So
road.
the actual parking lot, we're not doing anything with our pavement management plan currently, other than fixing some of the driveway areas, going back to the maintenance shop, and then between the 2 ball fields.
Okay.
I have been talking with a geotechnical firm to get a proposal to tell us what to do with the parking lot, and I think we discussed that back with the concrete portion of the project, and so we still are in the process of finalizing their proposal and their scope and fee to do that work, to really get to what is the best solution
So
there.
I'm thinking more of, I'm going to the 4th of July celebration as well as the Smoke on the Trails and, the Grand Slam Festival and those things. Those are coming up pretty quick, and
Yeah.
I know that that's.
And I would not anticipate any, additional parking lot improvements before those. Yeah.
What about make sure that Kill Creek Road is available?
Yeah, and so Kill Creek Road,
Yeah,
with that process, it's a pretty quick process, number one. Number two, we will make sure that the contractor's doing it during the week to not affect any of Jason's events, hopefully, and then also it's close to some school up there, and to make sure that we don't interfere with their school.
Absolutely. Okay, great, thank you. I appreciate those clarifications. With that being said, I will entertain a motion on new business item number 2.
So moved. Second.
Motion Baldwin, second Melton, that we authorize the city administrator to execute a contract with McEnany Construction Incorporated for the 2018 pavement management program asphalt portion in the amount of $1,010,667.11 and change order number 1 in the amount of $57,471.18 Additionally, authorize the city administrator to approve construction-related change orders up to an additional amount of $100,000. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Any abstentions? New business item number 2 passes. We'll want to just take care of these. We don't have any more presentations, so we'll
no.
move forward on a motion on new business item number 3.
So moved.
Second.
Motion Baldwin, second Winters, that we authorize the city administrator to execute a contract with Vance Brothers for the 2018 pavement management program chip seal portion in an amount of $342,335.10, and a change order number 1 in the amount of $77,574, and additionally authorize the city administrator to approve construction-related change orders up to an additional $35,000. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Any abstentions? New business item number 3 passes. New business item number 4. Consider the appointment of 2 governing body members to serve on the Big Bull Creek Wastewater Treatment Plant Task Force. Ryan Dank.
Good evening. This matter is related to the matter that we were talking about earlier and that Councilman Baldwin had a question on. We've attached the language from the contract with the Big Bull Creek Wastewater Treatment Plant with the City of Edgerton. It contemplated that we appoint 2 governing body members to the task force basically for the life of the agreement, which I checked it goes back to 2012. To my knowledge, that's never been done, and we actually, a couple of years ago, had requested that both parties go ahead and appoint those members so we could hopefully get some proactive dialogue going on between the parties, and so that is the request for tonight. The scope of what the task force is to cover is laid out in the agreement. You're only required to meet 1 time each calendar year. The purpose of the meetings are to discuss concerns related to growth management and the shared financing of future cooperative facilities and to make recommendations for actions on such topics as needed to the governing bodies of each community. So with that, I did want to follow up on what I had mentioned earlier in response to Councilman Baldwin's questions. I pulled the agreement and got some specific detail. The $50,000 deposit on major maintenance, what the agreement defines major maintenance to be, includes maintenance to the cooperative facilities, which is the joint facility, not each side's independent facility, that are not usual or customary as determined by the system engineer in the system engineer's reasonable discretion and which exceed $50,000 per instance. So it has to be a fairly significant failure. The term of the agreement, there's 2 pieces to the term. It is either 35 years or the 3rd year after retirement of the debt on the project, and it's the later of those 2. The 35 years is currently the latter of those 2. That would take the agreement out to 2047. I also checked the debt schedule on that. The debt schedule, the last payment is due on March 1 of 2034. So 3 years after that will be 2037. There have been no expenditures from the major maintenance fund to date, and yes, Edgerton has represented that they have made that donation. So with that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Right, great. Thank you, Ryan. Any public comment on new business item number 4? I don't expect any. With no one coming forward, we are going to poll the governing body. We need 2 positions filled for this particular task force. I think Mark Baldwin should be one of the individuals on the task force, but that's just me. He seems to, have been extremely proactive in his
I'm even here
analysis.
tonight here.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
Lee's won by default because he's not here.
No. I'm trying to get people who are engaged and want to be a
Right.
part of this task force.
Well, Mark is full of it, so.
So,
I didn't know maybe one of the newer council.
Mayor, question for you.
Yes.
This is an annual meeting. Did I hear that correct?
It's no less than once a year.
Okay.
The minimum requirement is that it meet once every calendar year.
It's BZA-esque.
I'm just wondering if it might be better to have one of the newer councilmen, because then they'd be on probably almost 4 years.
Sure, that's kind of what I was thinking about, Mark. When would Mark and Randy?
Congratulations on volunteering.
Yeah.
The mayor has selected you, Mark. This is a rare
All right,
opportunity.
let's keep order. If Mark is willing to do so. I mean,
Was
it's not-
forced into. Actually, I have a question, Mr. Mayor, or maybe City Admin. Do we have other joint task force? I mean, I know that we just had a meeting with the school board, and we're going to be
Yep.
starting another task force. So, what all task force do we have coming up before I get pushed into something?
Well, this is actually this is being required by the contract, so
I get
that's.
that.
But Cheryl, you want to answer?
Yes, we do have some additional work assignments for the governing body, as you indicated, in terms of task force. We need to look at some members of the governing body to work with the superintendent and I on the joint session follow-up. The superintendent and I have discussed that, and we will be laying out a time frame, so we will need some assistance with that. And then we had our follow-up meeting with KDOT on the road, and we've got some feedback from them, so we would be looking to have kind of a subcommittee to participate there as well.
And there's a potential for an Eco Dev task force as well that we're discussing.
Yes, we are discussing an Eco Dev task force.
So-
We might look to have someone also, particularly as we look at the Eco Dev task force, or if you'd like, Mayor, we could task maybe someone from the Eco Dev Advisory Committee.
Well, I think
If
we
you
need
feel
to-
like we have more committees that we're
Yeah.
tasking the council members for, then we,
I truly think that we need to include more people from the advisory committees on.
so
those
we could
task
do
forces.
that with the Eco Dev if you like, but the other two would be council.
And obviously, I have membership on several task forces, and I'm happy to designate a member of the governing body who has an interest in that, to sit in my stead. So there's, like I said, plenty of opportunities, Mark.
So, did I just get volunteer for a whole bunch of things?
Oh, no, you asked if there were other opportunities, and
I would,
so-
in particular, out of those, since I was the one that requested the joint meeting with the school, I would like to follow up with that.
Sure.
We can put you on both.
And then since, I think the road one would be a nice one to go on, so I would actually put this one third on my list.
Okay.
Since I'm also more familiar with the utilities, maybe somebody else would like it, but, you know, if you just want to put me on everything.
Well, you are more familiar with the utilities aspect, and
I mean,
so,
it's one meeting, but.
it's one meeting a year.
I mean, I'll volunteer for it.
I'm happy to do whatever. Just, whatever.
All right.
That way Todd's a good counter to me, because he can't elbow
So,
me.
would you serve for one meeting a year?
Well, you just got 2 volunteers.
Oh, so you wanted me to, more tenured people?
Man,
Okay.
I can't believe he doesn't like us, Todd. He really wants Mark on there.
Well, he's the utilities guy, that's why.
Hey, it's one meeting, they can.
Right. We'll
Yeah,
figure it
that's-
out.
Okay. All
You know
right.
what, if Rich doesn't fit the bill, I'll fill in for Rich. How's that?
He's all about wastewater treatment.
Oh, man. I love wastewater.
Okay.
You seen that video I made?
All right, we now have 2 nominees, so I will entertain, there's 2 separate motions. We have to do each of these individually because of the contract. So the first motion will be to appoint Rich Melton to serve on the Big Bull Wastewater Treatment Plant Task Force, and I will entertain a motion on that appointment.
So moved.
Second.
Motion, Scott Winters.
Scott, what?
Todd Winters. Motion Winters, sorry. Motion Winters, second Melton. My goodness, I'm glad we're not doing this on YouTube.
I know, right?
That we appoint Rich Melton to serve on the Big Bull Wastewater Treatment Plant Task Force in accordance with Article 6. Continue cooperation and dialogue of the May 10th, 2012 agreement, construction of wastewater improvements and transportation and treatment of wastewater in an area between the city of Edgerton, Kansas and Gardner, Kansas, to take effect immediately. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Any abstentions? Rich Milton, congratulations, you are now a member of the task force.
You're jealous.
That's
I
the
can
one I
see
should
it.
have named right there, yeah.
I will entertain a motion to appoint Todd Winters to the Big Bowl Wastewater Treatment Plant Task Force.
So moved.
Second.
Motion Baldwin, second Melton, that we appoint Todd Winters to serve on the Big Bowl Wastewater Treatment Plant Task Force in accordance with Article 6, continued cooperation and dialogue of the May 10th, 2012 agreement, construction of wastewater improvements and transportation and treatment of wastewater in an area between the city of Edgerton, Kansas and Gardner, Kansas. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Congratulations, Todd. You are now in the wastewater task force business. All right, council updates. We're going to start with staff. Staff has anything for council? I will start with Public Works Director Michael Kramer.
Yeah, and so first I wanted to thank Florida for coming and addressing the council and providing some additional information on some issues. And then I wanted to bring your attention back to June 8th's Friday night memo, and essentially wanted to get that into the record. And so our I-35 and Gardner Road interchange project, there's been a lot of discussion about, potential ways to finance it, fund it, et cetera. One of those that's been talked about some here by the governing body is Tiger grants, and when we apply for those, et cetera. We met with KDOT staff in May. They mentioned the build grants, which take the place of Tiger grants, and those potentially funding the project in the future. And the next round of those, the applications are due this coming July. And so we had a lot of discussions with both our consultant and KDOT staff about, should we be applying for these funds now, or would it be better to wait until next year? And, the applications are, they're quite lengthy, take a lot of time and effort, and when I say that, resources and dollars. And so we talked with KDOT, with our consultant, and essentially, really for it to be competitive, you need several things. You need to have plans for the interchange far enough along that you actually have your right-of-way in, that you aren't out there purchasing additional right-of-way. So you need to have the right-of-way for the future interchange in your pocket. And you need to have the plans far enough along for the entire scope of the interchange that it's essentially build ready. So maybe 80% plans. There's environmental protection issues that you need to show that you've met. And so really in talking with KDOT and with our consultants, they felt that this year wouldn't be appropriate to apply because we'd be essentially spinning our wheels and wasting resources. But we have applied for additional STP funding. Those are a little bit easier, if you will, to apply for. Again, those are straight state transportation project funding through MARC, and so those would be funds coming from the state through MARC, and so far we've reviewed those in the State Transportation Committee and others, and it's and we actually applied for funding at I-35 and US 56 as well. But our priority is I-35 and Gardner Road. And so far those have been fairly positive, but they only have $25 million in funding, and they have about 120 in applications. So I just wanted to give you all that update and let you know where we stood, see if you had any questions on that.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Michael. Business Economic Development Director Larry Powell.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of quick reminders for you. You brought up earlier the question from Todd Winters, Councilman Winters, for the driveways and street trees, and we've been working on that. That goes to the July Planning Commission. We've actually been doing quite a bit of research. We've had several meetings with different developers, including Mr. Mabe. We have another meeting with him tomorrow to talk about his Willow Chase 5 project, which is the next phase of this development. There are some changes in the development that they have requested, which we've approved, which have to do with realignments of roads, which give them some additional property to work with, both from the point of view of allowing larger lot sizes in a particular area, and also for allowing from additional detention basin facilities, which they needed for that project also. So that project continues to change. We will find out more from him tomorrow as to what his intents are for some of his requests to make additional changes to the programs as we go along. He has constructed six of the 9. I'm sorry, he's constructed 5. He's making a request for another building permit. That'll be 3 lots remaining of the original 9. So that project continues to move forward. The hotel project was slowed down considerably because of the concerns that we were having with the fire department issues. Those have been addressed by a special fire regulations inspector who has been privately hired by the corporation to handle those issues. That has actually gone a long ways to resolving some of the issues that we had. And the special inspector now has approved the 5th floor, which was our guinea pig floor, so to speak. And they're now starting to move through the rest of the building, basically catching up now that they have an approved protection process in place. And that is all being inspected and handled by our special fire inspector. So that project should get back in the group pretty quickly. I talked again with another housing development today, the Rosh Coleman facility folks, who currently have over 30 homes under construction at this point in time in St. John's Trace out of the west side of town. All those homes are currently sold, even though they're under construction. They are getting several more building applications to finish up the vacant lots they have in that particular area this next week or so. They are also the contracting development project for Plum Creek, which that project, due to the good weather we've had, it's been hot and dry, but it's been great for building, especially for public infrastructure projects. And so they informed me this morning that they're about 2 weeks ahead of schedule for public infrastructure improvements, and expect to be finishing that up and hopefully getting their first home build permits pulled by around September. So that is 71 single family homes. Those, of course, will just be open market homes for the public. They won't be pre-sold or pre-leased. So we have that going on. Quail Meadows 2 is also being completed, the same process, and is quickly becoming available for construction. We expect to be issuing the building permits for that and the site plans for that. That is a 28, 56 homes. Approximately half of that is being constructed for the public infrastructure phase. And I don't know that they're accepted yet, but they're being reviewed. As they're being reviewed right now for acceptance. So overall, the housing component of our community is moving along very well. If you're not aware of it, I'd like the public to know that Billy Sims Barbecue is open. They opened last week.
That's great.
So if you want to try out a new restaurant in town, please come out and do that. They would love to see you and have you as a customer in district.
And the ribbon cutting for that is,
I have to get with the chamber on that. I just got back today, so I haven't talked to Jason.
I believe it's this Saturday,
Sorry.
the 23rd?
Okay, so it's been set? Yeah.
22nd would be the Friday.
No, it's a Saturday morning, it's 10:45.
Oh, so it would be Saturday the 23rd then.
This coming Saturday.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Sorry.
Okay. That's
that'll be
great.
going on. And then, of course, planning subs is about 50%
Mhm.
Urgent care facility is finally moving along pretty quickly now, and that's starting to get cleaned up, which is behind the I just mentioned. And I think that that should be sufficient as far as the update for the development projects is concerned. Yes, sir.
Yeah, the Olathe Health, where are we on that?
The Olathe Health Project was taken off tonight's agenda because of the discussion we just had concerning KDOT and intersection improvements. So basically, Michael probably has something he wants to do.
Okay.
So the Planning Commission approved it subject to the traffic study being reviewed and approved. I believe we actually received the traffic study the same day as the Planning Commission.
Okay.
Our consultant has now reviewed that, and I believe our city engineer, and they provide comments back to Olathe Health.
Okay.
This time.
Great, so we can expect this potentially to be on the agenda in...
Yeah, assuming, once all the traffic issues get ironed out and everybody's, feels like they have a final traffic study.
Okay, great, thanks for the update. Parks and Rec Director Jason Bruce.
I just wanted to invite everybody out to Celebration Park this weekend. We are going to start our 2018 11 and 12 AAA State Championships baseball tournament. We have 42 teams from across the state of Kansas coming out. We start competition on Thursday at 10 a.m. and championship games are Sunday at 2 o'clock. So it'll be a big tournament, and I'm hoping we don't have rain from Thursday through Sunday by 4. So we can get it in.
Past this prologue, you'll have a lot of hot, dry weather.
Yes.
I like the dry, but the hot is,
Yes.
not so much. Thank you. Captain Belcher.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to take this opportunity to send our thoughts and prayers to the families of Deputy Hoare and Deputy King, the Wyandotte County Sheriff's Office, the Unified Government of Wyandotte County, and the citizens of Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas. We will be sending a small delegation of officers to the services Thursday.
KCK's had a bad year. They've lost 4, haven't they, in the last 12
Yeah,
months?
they've lost 4. The Kansas City metropolitan area has lost 5 in the last 2 years. So I would venture to say that's probably the highest number of a metropolitan city in the nation.
Real close.
So,
Well, our thoughts and prayers do go to the folks in Wyandotte and Unified Government. There's a lot of folks there that are suffering right now, and our hearts go out to them. Our flags are at half-staff, correct? Around our city?
The governor has ordered it Thursday, I believe.
This coming Thursday?
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. Appreciate it. City Clerk?
No, sir.
Finance Director, I know you've done a lot of talking already today, so.
No, sir.
All
I
right.
got nothing else.
All right. City Attorney? City Administrator Harrison Lee.
Yes, so 2 things. Just clarity on the positions for utilities and parks for 2018 reset. And secondly, I serve on the MARC Planning and Sustainable Places Subcommittee. And we, at the last subcommittee meeting, we had an opportunity to look over the projects. We submitted a project for the second phase of grant funding for the downtown project.
Good.
And I'll keep you posted on that, but it came out of committee looking good. It's not over yet, so don't want to get excited quite yet, but at least it received some positive feedback from the committee.
So what's our grant request exactly?
It was for Center Street.
Okay, but what's the dollar amount that we?
100 and
I think it's about 250.
250, okay.
250,000.
So
That's,
that-
what's that match on that?
20% is what we had, 20 or 25%? 25, we put 25% in the new one that was, and we are working on the second grant phase.
Okay.
And in that one, we are putting 20%.
And that's for curb and street improvements and a sidewalk, correct?
Center Street Bridge project.
And Center Street Bridge? Okay. Yeah.
So that would allow us to be able to not only get MARC funding to do the study, but to go back and actually do implementation. And then we are requesting, as we're reviewing those projects, we are requesting yet for the 3rd round of funding.
Great, great. Thanks for, make sure to keep us apprised on that.
Okay.
Thanks. Anything from staff, from council? I'll start with Councilman Baldwin.
One question on the budget, it was page 26 of the packet, but it was $402,000 was a placeholder for the airport for future land. And then I saw, per Councilman Moore, that the FAA approved $518,000. Is that above what is that 116 extra than that we got, that we can do more with?
No, so essentially those are two separate projects.
Okay.
The one project this year, and then the 402 would be using future grants, all of which is going to what the FAA sees as our highest priority, which is protecting the runway zones and purchasing land.
Thank you.
Good. But that would allow us to be able to get the east runway land that we don't have currently, correct?
So the first part of that, yes, and then the 402 is actually a project for the end of the north-south runway, the south end, the last home.
Yep. Okay, because I know we've done a lot of land acquisition on the south end, not so much on the east side. Okay. Anything else, Mark?
Nope.
Okay. Councilman Winters?
I just want to say thank you to all the departments of the city for the festival on the trails. There's so much that goes on behind the scenes from all the departments of the city, little things here and there that they contribute to. So big thank you to everyone. I thought it went well. I think we had good crowds for it. So thank you. And the only other thing on Ms. Kelvin's comments at the beginning of the meeting. Her first comment, I think, was about Main Street crossing. Am I remembering that correctly? Main, and I'm assuming.
Yeah, the first comment was regarding Main and Center Street.
Main Center.
Yeah, and as far as meeting MUTCD requirements, we've reviewed it, our consulting engineers have reviewed it, and KDOT has reviewed it, all of which multiple times, and it does meet the requirements. And I'm not sure whether or not there's anything additional that could be done as a reasonable accommodation. I think that's something we can investigate further.
Well, I think that the issues that she was pointing out had nothing to do necessarily with the traffic control, because I think she said herself that she was very happy with what's been done at the corner. I think it's more around the fact that folks aren't abiding by either a full stop at that turn or a yield to pedestrians who are trying to cross at that crosswalk. That's almost an enforcement issue, would it not be, Captain Belcher? And could you speak on that?
That's correct. I know that we have in the past, we've had some enforcement that we've done out there. We've taken some action out there. We're trying to come up with new ways to enforce not only those crosswalks violations and any other crosswalk violations in the city. It's something that I know Chief is taking a hard look at. Just like most of the time, whenever we're out there, there doesn't seem to be any violations. And the moment we pull down the street and turn down the street, then violations occur. So those are things that I know the Chief is looking at. He is communicating with Michael on issues. I know that we've had some people inside of our department. Sergeant Benz is working with, is communicating with Michael, with Danica, the public information manager, to see about maybe doing some more
Crosswalk safety?
Yeah, crosswalk safety. So I know that that's on Chief's radar.
And one of the things too that I'd mentioned regarding crosswalk compliance and safety is, statistically nationwide compliance is very, very low with yielding at crosswalks, and especially if you're the first car coming to the crosswalk, the compliance is very low. It picks up with the second car and the third car even more. It does take, it takes some compliance efforts. It takes making sure that we have a a good design, which at Center and Main we definitely do. You know, but it does take a combination and also driver education.
Yeah, I can speak from personal experience. There was a lady with a baby carriage that was trying to cross a Pawnee over by Veterans Park. There's a non-signaled crosswalk there, and I saw them at the you know, they were in the curb cut. They were ready to cross. I stopped, and about 5 or 6 people just went right through.
And the same thing, the stroller.
And my concern is that with all the distracted drivers out there, if you do stop and people aren't watching, they're going to nail you in the back. And that almost happened to me on another occasion. So I think that definitely from an enforcement perspective, if we can be more proactive, and I know that's tough because we are already kind of short-staffed on the force, so we're going to have to probably pick our spots. But if we can be a little bit more proactive and start, you know, issuing some citations in some of those areas, especially where there's significant amounts of pedestrian traffic. I'm thinking of the Greenway crossing. I'm thinking of the one at Pawnee. There's several of the crossings that have a very high amount of pedestrian traffic that might go some way towards making, you know, our roads a bit safer. So with that, I'll keep my mouth shut. Anything else, Todd? All right. Councilman Melton.
Do you want to go with Randy?
I'll let you go first.
Real quick, I need some help. I need some candidates for ADA. I have been like pestering people, trying to get people, and every time they're like, yep, I'm ready, I send something to the city clerk. And Amy and I have been like, did you get those emails? No. And then I reach out to people like, well, I found out I didn't have enough time. And I'm like, okay, so I need some names of people who are ready to serve. So if you can find some and send them my way, I'd appreciate it.
You gotta do a live stream and ask. Your live streams are pretty well viewed.
Yeah, right.
Well, stand at the crosswalk out in the middle and see if anybody comes by.
Well, and this, can you get license plates off my live stream? Just saying, send out tickets. So, you get paid to watch TV, Jay. It'd be great. So, and then the other thing was I wanted to say thanks and congratulations to Councilman Winters for his work on the festival, because I volunteered to help a little bit on Friday and Saturday, and I'm watching him do all these things and be all things to all people, and I'm over there harassing him nonstop, and he did a fantastic job. And I mean, you can imagine what that's like with just me, and then he's got everybody else too, and he and the whole crew that put that show on, and everybody from the city that helps. I got to see it firsthand, and it's truly amazing what a whole bunch of volunteers do and how well it went off. So I want to say, way to go, Todd, and everybody else who was a part of it. It was pretty awesome to see it from behind the scenes. So
Thank you.
And then I will echo that sentiment. I know that's a very small group of people. They do a whole heck of a lot in that weekend. And I think you guys, I don't think did you set an attendance record this weekend? I think you may have, because I know.
For the whole weekend, it was kind of a busy weekend altogether.
Yeah.
And hot.
And good weather, I mean, better than the previous year when you've had, rain.
Yeah.
So that was good. But again, kudos.
Is this why you're hesitant to serve on that committee with him?
All he's got to do is do a great job, and I'll praise him. It doesn't
Moving
have to work.
moving on. Councilman Gregorsek, you have anything for staff?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. I received an email about fire hydrants and wanted to say thank you to Michael Kramer and Chief Kirk for helping me out and getting that response put together, and it enabled me to learn a little bit about the color coding of fire hydrants. Second, I wanted to commend first Councilman Baldwin for initiating the bilateral between the City Council and the Board of Education. I thought it was well organized, which was done by the Superintendent of Schools and our City Administrator. And I look forward to the next steps. I know that the Superintendent and the City Administrator are actively scheduling that, and I think there was some great feedback, and I was glad to see Mark Baldwin, Dr. Winters, Councilman Melton, and myself attend that along with BOE and other staff. So I think we're on the right path, and I think we can make some things happen for the betterment of the community. So I just wanted to say thank you to all those folks. That's all I had.
All right, thanks. And I'll echo what you said, Randy, as I was also there, but I'm not a council member, so that's okay. Yeah, we had a really good discussion. I think the facilitator did a tremendous job in keeping everybody on task. That keeping a bunch of elected leaders and appointed executives on task is like herding a bunch of feral cats with a little bit of rabies thrown in. They did a really good job of it, and I think we did a lot of really good things, in that room. So I hope it'll continue. Thanks, Randy.
Yes, sir.
With that, I think I've said my piece about Festival on the Trails. I think that the folks have done a tremendous job on that. Chief is otherwise occupied, but I know that he had a significant amount of enforcement contingent out there at that event and kept everybody safe. And we appreciate that, as well as the participation of the sheriff's deputies and the sheriff's department that are also on the scene, and the fire district providing fire protection services. It's a big effort by a lot of people, and I appreciate every one of you that goes out there and works overtime to make it a wonderful event. So thanks again. With that being said, I think that we have an executive session planned for this evening. I would entertain a motion on executive session.
So moved. Oh, how long are we going for?
Okay. Well, how long do you think we need, Mr. Dank?
At least a half an hour to start.
Half an hour? All right, 30 minutes. I will put it on here. And it is now 9:23, so 9:24 and 9:54. Okay. Okay. So you have a motion?
Yes.
All right, and a second?
Yeah.
All right, motion Melton, second Baldwin, that we recess into executive session pursuant to KSA 75-4319B1 to discuss personnel matters related to non-elected personnel beginning at 9:24 p.m. and returning to regular session at 9:54 p.m. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? We stand in recess. Hey, Randy, we're going to see you we'll see you in the room.
Can you get my back in there?
Test one.
No?
Yes. Find a paper with this phone.
I'll just redial from here. Can I just do that?
Yes, you have to dial 9 first to dial out. 9, then 1, and then the rest of the number.
Got it. Well,
I can come help you.
for some reason, this is not,
This can be a little tricky sometimes.
yeah. There it goes.
There you go.
All right, and then redial.
You may just, let me grab his number, and we'll just redial it manually, because with the 9 in front of it, it won't redial properly.
Okay, my apologies.
That's okay, it's not your fault.
We just can't have a motion.
Well, it is.
No, it's Rich Melton's fault.
It is no one's fault.
Yeah, it's Rich
Oh,
Melton's.
now you're just being too nice.
I bet when you throw a CFG poll up, I'm lost.
As long as it's not my fault.
No, don't worry.
Good answer. No, there's always room to blame people.
Well, Larry's here. Why don't we spread some?
Yeah.
Can't do that.
Blame.
Larry just got back from vacation, so he's not.
Oh, well, then he's well rested.
Draw straws, so you have to lock up.
Hey, Randy. All right. I will entertain a motion to resume regular session.
So moved.
Second.
Motion Melton, second Winters, that we resume regular session. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? We are back in regular session. I will entertain a motion to recess into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Motion Melton, second Baldwin, that we recess into executive session pursuant to KSA 75-4319B1 to discuss personnel matters related to non-elected personnel, beginning at 9:56 p.m. and returning to regular session at 10:26 p.m. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? We are back in executive session. Recess.
Do you want to